Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to the UTG Global Command Center. I wanted to give you guys an update on different cars projects that are ongoing, we're working on, bring you up to speed on a couple of changes of plans, and show you a project I'm working on that's going to be over the winter that I think is kind of neat. So let's start with this. Let's go with the most asked questions. A lot of you guys are like, what happened to the junkyard jet guys? Did they give up? No, not at all. They've been at it. They've been working on this car. They're here at least one night a week, and they're here like all night, right, when they're working on this thing. So it's on the ground. It's rolling on its own rubber. The motor's all in there, and they're just doing the last of the plumbing and the wiring and all of that. And this car should be about ready to start. I mean, I'm going to say like this coming weekend or real soon. So they're working on it. They're getting to it. Now, we haven't been covering this car on this channel because they've been covering it on their channel, Daddy's Money Garage. So if you want updates on the car, they go through everything they do on this thing. If you want updates on the car, go to Daddy's Money Garage, go sub to them. They're really, I love these kids. They're great. And you can get regular updates on this thing. And when they light it up, we'll probably do a live or something from here for their initial startup. Okay, so that's that car. Let's see. Slaghammer. All right, so here's the situation with this. We're getting ready for the no-name nationals now. Motor, no problem. Primo, good motor, okay? But it does need some tuning. We're gonna have to go through the carburetors, get the secondaries working, get the jetting right. When I say get them working, I mean get the right spring in there, get them balanced, get it where it functions correctly. So we have no issues with the motor. We have no issues with the suspension. We have no issues with anything except we're swapping out the rear end. So the car had 323s in it, and now she's getting 430s, which is just, she's already a part. I just got to pop the center section in. And the transmission, which I El Kabonged a couple of weeks ago. So we've got this one here that's now ready to go. We're ready to drop in, really. I just got to put the tail shaft on it, drop a valve body in it. And this one has a bolt-in sprag. You can't see it, it's on the other side of all of this, but it's got a bolt-in sprag. So that'll take care of the weak part of this. Now, the important part of the equation, the crucial part of the equation for this car is a torque converter. So a torque converter has been ordered. It may be 2 or 3 weeks before we actually get the converter in our hands and we can put the car back together again. But as soon as we've got that, it all goes together and we shake it down a couple of times and then send Al and this thing to the no-name nationals and see what she's gonna do. Woo-wee, I can't wait. Pass the popcorn. All right, now on to the one that everybody keeps asking me about. And okay, bottle rocket. All right, so I've been taking little chunks out of it the last couple of days. Motor's out, the old motor's out. Now I gotta tell you something. I went through this engine, and this thing, this is the one that was in there. This was our famous $12 short block. And I got to tell you something. Looking at it, it's ready to go back in and go make laps. But I don't want to take any chances at the no-name nationals. I want to have an engine that's just it's gonna take it. And at least, you know, I'll give us a fighting chance against Andy and Casper at Unity Motorsports Garage. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, and I'm banking on a lot of luck. Right? Well, it's calculated luck. You have to understand, it's not just like, you know, ooh, but it's calculated luck. So let's see how this happens. But I didn't want to go out there with something that I had to worry about or think about. I want to be able to just go, right? And give us a chance. So in that name, what we're doing is, obviously, we're changing the pistons in it. This is the block that we had intended to use. It's a fresh 30 over right out of the machine shop. It's covered with dust, bodywork dust, and gack from just sitting around. So this thing just needs a really good cleaning, and it's ready to assemble. And it's just a regular 318. It's 30 over. The motor will be 322 cubic inches. The rest of the combination is going back in. This is the cam that we were using. These are the heads that we were using. The same intake setup, same carburetor, all of that stuff. Anything pertaining to the running of the car, the making power of the car, is going right back in just the way it came out. The only real deviation we're making from the plan, aside from the steel crank that's going in here, is that we're going to switch over to these lighter, early 273 318 rods. These have a full floating pin. I still got to give them a nice clean, and they're still a little dirty. But these have a full floating pin, and they're a significant amount lighter than the later 318, 340, 360 rods that are currently in this engine. It's a little bit lighter, but I want to do it. I want to do it. So those are the only deviations we're making from the original plan. Now, that's deviations from the original plan of the motor. All right, so let's talk about something else I'm doing to this car that I didn't want to do, but I'm looking at this whole situation and I'm saying, I have to do this. So let's go back to when we started this channel 4 years ago. About 6 months after we started the channel, we wanted to build a project car. And at the time, and a bottle rocket, and at the time, I realized I really have no desire to go race any cars. I have no desire to. All right, and now you have to understand where I'm coming from with this, right? The first 2/3 of my life, right? Drag racing, street racing, my entire universe revolved around those things. And for a good number of years, it's all I did. My whole life was just bouncing from drag strip to drag strip to drag strip, from car to car to car, from thing to thing to thing. I really got to live the dream. I don't regret an instant of it. It was a fantastic thing. But when I reached the end of the line, right, and I said, I'm done with this, I really meant it. I was done with it, and I had no desire to ever go back. It was something drag racing was something I just put in my past. Now, while I'm not interested in drag racing, I still love the machinery, I still love the technology, I still love building things, but I have literally less than no desire to go to the track. And I get a lot of criticism about this car in that, oh, it just sits there, it doesn't go to the track. Well, I'm telling you why it doesn't go to the track. It's because I have no desire to go to the track. Now that may change, as I get older, or just life changes or whatever it is, I may get the bug again to actually want to go out there and be out there. But it's not in me right now. I dread going to the track. I get to the track and the only thing I can think of is, I gotta get out of here, I wanna go home, right? I can't explain it, I don't expect you to understand it, I'm just telling you what it is, right? All right, so when we started building this project, the whole idea was to have somebody, lamb chop, take this car and go run it. And I would stay back at the shop and build stuff and do stuff and everything, and he'd report back to me, and we'd fix and modify and build and rebuild and do whatever and go. It didn't work out with lamb chop for reasons that that I don't even want to talk about here, but there were reasons, and we parted ways. And that was the end of that. So it left me with this car to go run it myself, and I was like, fine, I'll go run the car myself. Except that I didn't realize that I just had no desire, you know what I mean? I literally have no desire to go to the track, not into it. So this car, we take it out, it'll break or something, and then it just sits for 6 months, and I look at it, and I walk around it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, gotta get this car going, gotta get this car. All right, so I've known for a long time, I need to get somebody else and put somebody else in this car to go run the car so I can stay here at the shop and do my thing, right? Which is what I want to do, right? But the big obstacle was a 4-speed. And that was the thing, when I put this car together, that was the mistake I made. I went with a 4-speed. I went with a 4-speed for a couple of reasons, several reasons, and I decided to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it. So we tried the experiment with the A33 overdrive trans, and it's not really usable. It's not a power shiftable transmission. So I said, all right, so for the no-name nationals, I'm going to switch it over to just a regular 833 4-speed, which I've got a few of them laying around. So I got a good box over there, and I said, I'll just take this box apart, I'll slick shift it, put it back together again, and we'll run this against the no-name nationals. But I'm saying to myself, but then again, I'm going to go through all of this work, and I'm going to still end up with a car that really only I can drive. I can't just take somebody and stick it in their car and say, go, right? Whereas with an automatic car, I mean, literally, you could take a package of sausages and tape it to the seat and send it down the track, and it'll go down the track. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm breaking the, let's call it the curse. Let's call it the bottle rocket curse. I'm breaking the cycle, and this is the transmission. It's going to go in, and it's a 727. I got to build this thing. Now, this is another one I'm waiting on the converter for. I have everything I need to put it together, but it's another one I'm waiting for a converter for. It's a special order converter. I know 727. Why are you using a 727? Don't you know that 904 is just as strong? Well, it is just as strong to an extent, but I have future plans for this thing, and I don't want to build a 904 now and do a 904 converter and go through all of those expenses. And then later on, when I do the next phase with this combination, this car that I want to do, I don't want to have to go through and change everything again to a 727 or spend big bucks doing a full race 904. So that's why I'm doing a 727 in now. I'll sacrifice the 10th and the 30-pound difference, but that's what's going to go in here now. Sorry if I'm letting you 3-pedal guys down. You know what I mean? I get it. I know. I raced a manual transmission stock eliminator car for a season. I know all about it. You know, I'm a 3-pedal guy myself, but it's hard to find other 3-pedal guys and the breakage that goes along with it. I mean, this isn't like the 70s anymore when you launch something or you grenade it, you just run over to the local wrecking yard and you pick up another rear, or you pick up another box, or you get another, whatever it happens to be. It's not like that anymore. You know, these things are like, stuff doesn't grow on trees. So breakage, when you break something, it means you got to really pay for it, or you got to wait, you got to go scrounge. No, Bottle Rocket's going to be an automatic. It'll be a 727 when it hits Sykes in Missouri. So for the no-name nationals. So that's the deal with this car. We're moving forward. I got some rear suspension stuff I got to do with it, which I explained already. We're just going to lower the rear end about 2 inches. I got to flip the front spring hangers, and you can see underneath this car, it was all done very hastily. It was all done very, you know, haphazardly in gravel, right? So I'm going through the car now, and I'm trying to correct all of the little things and all little, you know, the sloppiness that was in there, and I want to try to make it nice. I do love this car. It's going to be with me for a long time, and I have big plans for it down the road. So bear with me. We're moving ahead. We'll have some action stuff with this car as soon as I have the torque converter in. Both of these cars are both going to come in at the same time. As soon as I got the torque converter in, we'll take this thing out. We'll do some test hits and stuff like that, and give you the rundown on what we're doing to tune it and dial it and so on and so forth. And by that point, I know who I want to have drive this car, and I already mentioned it to him once, and he was like, okay. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that to myself for now. But next season, this car should be able to go out on a regular basis, and we can move ahead, right? And like I said, someday the bug may get me again, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go down a drag strip. Oh no, I don't want to go down a drag strip. I don't want to sit in the staging lanes. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to have to load the car on the trailer and take the car off the trailer. I'm just not into it. Does that make any sense? I'm just not into it. I'm sorry if it disappoints you, but I can only do what I'm doing, right? All right, so let's talk about something I am into, and I know a lot of you guys aren't, but you know what? Deal with me, okay? So, you know, I've been really getting into bikes, right, lately. Again, you know, it's my second time around with the bikes. Maybe I'll get back into drag racing again the way I'm getting back into bikes again. So I've built myself a little small fleet of these things, and I'm having fun, and I'm meeting new friends who have no idea I do YouTube, which is great, because I go out riding with these guys. Nobody asks me questions about YouTube or anything like that. So I know I have like a secret identity. So I am a neurotic recluse. I mean, it's what I am. All right, so one of the bikes that I picked up is this little Buell Blast. I love this bike. It is just so much fun. It's one of the most fun motorcycles I've ever had. It's not the fastest by far. It's not the best handling by far. It's not the prettiest by far. It's not the coolest by far. It's the most fun motorcycle I've ever had. And until you actually jump on one of these things and hit the twisties with it, and just like that, you know, I can't explain it to you. It's just a blast. They named it correctly. But since I bought this bike, I've said to myself, what this thing really needs is like an extra 20 horsepower. You know, because it's about 40 horsepower stock. And at like about 60, 65, at the weight that it is, it's such a light bike, such a low center of gravity. 60, 65 horsepower. Ooh, okay, yeah, right, fun, major fun, right? And I know all you leader bike guys are gonna go, when are you gonna put on your big boy pants, Uncle Tony? I've done that. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have fun with this thing. So we've got it stripped down to nothing here right now. There's your basic frame. So we've got this thing, taking this apart now. I'm researching to find out what we got to do to get this thing out to 650, 700 cc. And whatever other internal modifications I can make to this thing so it can go. Cams and whatnot. So we're pulling this thing apart now. It'll be a winter project. Yeah, we still have so much to do before the end of this year. I can't devote a lot of time or resource or headspace to that project right now, but it'll be going. And what else is it? It's Stubby's turbo slant. So it's going along a little slower than I'd like it to, but we'll pick up the pace on it soon. So that's it. That's the update from the Global Command Center and our various projects. And I hope I answered whatever questions that you guys have about any of the stuff that's going on here. And that's it. Tomorrow we do more content, and that's when I'll see you tomorrow.